In today's video, we're going to be talking about common conversion optimization myths, tactics that work, tactics that don't. So let's get right into it, shall we? So Lennon has prepared a few questions for me to answer for you, to give you guys some awesome value. And this is part of a larger article that I'm co-writing with one of our awesome copy and content writers, Landon, on the autogrow.co team. Once again, my name is Matt Ackerson. I'm the founder and CEO of autogrow.co. In case you don't already know, we are a seven-figure business. We started from zero, completely bootstrapped. Very proud of that. And we are auto-growing into the age of AI that we are now in. Some people call it the second renaissance. I'm not sure I like that label, which I can talk about some other day. But let's get into the first question, which is, what are some of the biggest marketing tricks or tips you abide by to land more conversions and sales? So I think the biggest one that I found that is effective for me and for in our marketing in particular for AutoGrow is really coming in and just making tweaks and doing some rewrites on existing copy. You know, I think this is something that a lot of founders and business owners underestimate. A lot of founders and agency owners, we're all really busy, right? We're trying to figure out how to delegate stuff, how to get stuff off of our plate so that we can focus on what we are best at. And that's one of the big advantages to using AutoGrow in the first place if you are an agency in particular. It's really easy for you to underestimate how valuable your understanding of your target market and your clients are, and how you implement solutions and why those solutions are implemented the way they are, and what is the inherent value in that, and just your deep understanding of the client and who you're selling to, because you've done it for a period of time. Now, it's really, really useful to have a copywriting pro come in and learn about your target market and produce copy for you. Depending on who you work with, it can work great. I think one of the biggest challenges is really just finding a copywriter who aligns with your brand, your style, helps to find that voice that you like. Conversational usually works best. Speaking of, I wouldn't call it a trick, but certainly a tactic. I think conversational tone for copy, very, very effective. But what's more effective is just kind of making sure that you are involved in the copywriting process, because just those small tweaks from your deep understanding, most of the time, deep and deeper understanding than basically anyone else, because you are the business owner, they make a lot of difference. And it's easier for you to make these too when it's combined with an expert copywriter who knows how to sell, who knows to write persuasively, but you're coming in on top of that and you're just adding that extra little polish that's going to reach out from the page, and it's going to grab your prospect by the shoulders and shake them in a positive way and say, hey, pay attention. This is about you. This is about your problem and how we can help you. So those little tweaks, just by having you as the business owner, you as the founder, be involved in editing that copy, because you could remove the design, you could remove everything. If you don't have copy, you can't just have a page that's like pure design. The design amplifies the copy that's on the page, but the copy is the base. It is the cake. It is the meat. Okay, you need that substance there. You can't just have pure design, for instance, or pure delivery of said product or service. You need that baseline in order to actually sell it. So your involvement in that part, I say, would be one of the most effective tactics, because founders and agency owners, both in many cases, you usually will have the deepest understanding of the market, since you are interacting directly with people who you're selling to daily. Let's see, what is one other big marketing tip or tactic that I abide by to help land more conversions and sales? Well, I think just in terms of engineering the copy as well, just making sure that it is understandable. So I would say, in terms of engineering it on multiple different levels, you want to engineer it to be hyper empathetic. Every word that you write, as you're writing it, you're just cross-checking. Okay, is this providing value? Is this providing value? Is this relevant? Is this relevant? Is this clear? Right? Is it clear what you're offering? Stay away from clever. You want to be clear, not clever. And the other thing is, I think repetition and visibility. Visibility tends to apply a bit more to design, although you can argue visibility in terms of like, headlines are more visible than other text. The law of visibility in Autogrow's 11 laws of sales funnel physics basically just says that for anyone to convert on anything, it must be visible. And people will often convert to the degree that something is visible. And this also aligns with the law of repetition as well. You repeat something more often, it tends to be more persuasive. But in a visual context, this can mean using certain words repeatedly so that those words or those associations are remembered, or it can be repetition in the form of a CTA button or multiple CTA buttons on the page. For the next one, what are some of the biggest tips that you've seen hyped up that ended up not working for you? Great question. The first one that comes to mind is A/B testing. A/B testing. And you might say, whoa, like A/B testing, everyone says that is fantastic. It works great. And I would say, yes, A/B testing has a very solid foundation. It is basically statistical science in action. You have one, two, multiple versions of the page, and you're testing each randomly against the other, and one version is going to be the winner, and you just rinse and repeat, which is going to convert higher. Sounds like a proven way to just consistently grow, right? I mean, everyone talks about it. The problem is that a lot of the people who talk about it, what they don't tell you is that you really need to make sure you have sufficient traffic for that to work. And a lot of the agencies that I've seen, and just startups, businesses in general, even businesses, we have a number of clients who are, multi-million-dollar companies. And even some of these companies, because maybe in the way that they're niche, like they're just going after, for instance, Fortune 1000 companies, we have way more traffic than them, and they're maybe seeing like 15, 20,000 visits a month. But because, they're higher ticket, they don't really need a lot of traffic. Actually, I think it was 2,000 or 3,000 for that client that I'm talking about that was targeting Fortune 1000s. In either case, A/B testing is way overrated because, what you ultimately really care about is not whether or not people click a button, but whether they actually buy, or whether they book a call and are highly qualified. Because you can do things, right? This is something that I think a lot of people don't understand. You can do things to like just juice, just squeeze, your funnel, like squeeze sales out of it, right? You can just juice your funnel, but it may not be sustainable, and it may not mean that you're actually growing. And that's what I mean when I say like you can increase your conversions. Oh wow, people clicked to get to the pricing page more often with version B than version A. Well, this must mean that, it's the pricing page. Of course, it means that they're more interested and more likely to buy. It's the winner. That's what it says, 95% statistical confidence, or if you're lucky to even get that high. But to really know for sure, you have to be testing the right thing. I mean, in that example that I just gave you, instead of pricing page, why don't you at least test people getting to the checkout page, okay? And not just, one click, to the pricing page. And just make sure that, or test something else like bookings. But like, how many bookings are you really churning through, or in other words, that are occurring within your funnel every single day, every single week? Is it in the hundreds? If not, you're going to have to wait a bit, potentially months, to get a result. And by then, hey, the market is shifting left, right, up, and down. I mean, we are in the age of AI, people. So I think A/B testing is pretty overhyped. It's not overhyped if you have enough traffic. Let me put it that way. Perhaps one other tip, overhyped. I think that AI, in terms of digital marketing and creative tasks and projects, is both overhyped and underhyped. This is something that I'll go into more detail on a future video. So if you want to hear more about it, go hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and subscribe to our email list if you're watching this on our website. So I think that AI is overhyped in the short term, where something like Chat GPT just came out. You can see I actually have it open here. I was actually asking it a question about like, oh, what's this program running on my laptop? It's overhyped in that people are like, oh my God, the sky is falling, and I'm gonna move to the mountains and learn to grow potatoes and just check out from society. Because I actually saw someone wrote that the other day, an acquaintance of mine. I think he's relatively successful. I don't know. Everyone has their appearances set to hype. I'm super successful everywhere you look these days. You never really know. But there's one entrepreneur. He posted about it. He thinks that basically agencies will not exist in 5 years. It's possible. It's possible. I just think that I think it might be a little bit longer than people think until they have to really think because think about it, right? Logically, we have continued to incrementally improve, our creative abilities and output. Things are just going to shift, and I just think that, and again, this is part of a longer video. I don't want to put my thinking out there in crystallized form and say this is what I think it's going to be, because I've seen this coming for a long time. We're actually developing our own AI at AutoGrow. But I think that's kind of more or less what it's going to look like. I think that a lot of people, consultants, companies, freelancers, agencies, I think everyone's just going to adapt. And I think that there are going to be different versions of, the same kind of like baseline AI, but it's going to be trained in a certain way and kind of like licensed. Because ultimately, even if, you have your own AI assistant, companies are still going to be paying someone else, for that AI assistant, when it can do everything, when it's no longer kind of trapped in the browser, right? And it can jump out, and it can click, and it can go to Google Docs, and it can do this and that. It can do the whole thing. It can set up your website. So I do think that it is a little bit overhyped in that sense. I think that there is going to be time to adjust and adapt, but I do think that it is realistic to know and believe that it's, in terms of marketing, we're going to have to adapt. So I think it is underhyped in the sense of, how much it is going to change things. It is going to completely change everything in time. I mean, there is going to be no industry or market that is untouched by this. As an example to this, we wrote an article recently about SEO in 2023, looking ahead, and I talked a little bit about AI and something, a tool like ChatGPT in that article. And one thing that I said, which I think a lot of people may not fully realize, is that, or just ask the question. Let's just ask it as a question: will SEO exist think about it, because I know a lot of people. You have to try it to really get why I would use it. Oh, this is crazy. You have to try it to really know what I mean. So I've been using ChatGPT for about a week or so now. I use Google at least 70% less. 70% less. Why? Because you can go to Google and you can type, okay, I want to know how many episodes there were in Breaking Bad season 5. Okay. And you have to sort through the results. You have to go into a result, you have to come out of that result, hit back, doesn't have what you need. You kind of have to, and you have to synthesize the information. You go to something like ChatGPT, it has the entirety of the internet synthesized in its brain already, and you ask it a question the way you would talk to a human, and it gives you an answer. No having to go into different results and synthesize them. It brings it to you, and it answers your exact question custom. It's like imagine typing in to Google how many episodes there are Breaking Bad, and there were no search results. It just said, oh, hello, Matt. There are, 13 episodes. And by the way, here's some other fun facts about, the characters and yada, yada, yada. And if you need anything else, just let me know. And you can type, okay, now, and without even giving it additional context, it can take that existing context, and you would just ask the question, well, how many episodes in, the previous season? And it would know, okay, the previous season equals 5 minus 1, 4. And it would know also that without you telling it, you're still talking about Breaking Bad. And when you have a tool, or probably multiple tools like this, why do you need a search engine? So what's going to happen with all the content that's driving traffic right now? Is this? I just think that it's underhyped in terms of how much it is going to change things, and I think people, all of us, really just need to be looking ahead and thinking ahead to this. Yeah, the customer acquisition will probably change a lot too. I mean, there might be probably more focus on just paid channels, but SEO may not be one of them. All right, let's move right along. What are some of the most common myths? But overall, just to end on an optimistic note, I do think that there is going to be a lot of opportunity to be had. So I don't think you should necessarily believe the doom and gloom of like, oh my God, I'm a web developer and this thing can code and good Lord, what the hell am I going to do for the rest of, we're all going to adapt. We just have to figure it out and look at the problem square in the face. What are some of the most common myths your clients believe about getting conversions? Some of the most common myths about getting conversions are that, for instance, I think, I sort of alluded to one before, that clicks matter. It's really about the quality of the click. People don't understand you can engineer the quality of the click because you get to decide as the marketer, as the business owner, as the founder. You might be working with a team. You might be working with AutoGrow because you don't have to hire a team then. You save a lot of money, save a lot of time. And we actually are already adapting and using many of these AI tools for faster turnaround times and better quality turnaround drafts and this whatnot as well. You can check us out at autogrow.co if you're interested. The content that appears on the page helps to engineer who ultimately clicks, and the information that you give people before they click, that helps to engineer the quality of the click, meaning like, okay, have they seen the price and do they know how it works in terms of billing? Do they know, have the most common questions been answered? Yes? Great. That click is a lot more valuable than someone who hasn't seen the price, who hasn't had their questions, preemptively kind of addressed and then books a call. Because that person is further down in the sales process and more likely to buy than if they just booked a call without knowing that information, for instance, just as an example. Some other common myths I think that I was kind of elaborating on something that I think people don't necessarily know. I think there is a lot of hype, speaking of hype, like in the last question. In part, it's because there's a ton of really effective marketers around it, but there's a lot of hype around, I think, just funnels in general, and like you're one funnel away. It's like, yeah, but you could say the same thing for 10,000 other marketers, agency owners, entrepreneurs in the same industry, all going after the same niche market. But are they all going to succeed just because they have the same funnel? Possible, I guess, but it's more of a myth. You really have to, I think, differentiate yourself, and I think in the age of AI too, it's going to become more and more important that you really think for yourself and build something that is of true, unique, original human value. And I think that will become perhaps one of the most sustainable things as far as business, marketing, and otherwise providing value to the marketplace. Anything else I can think of in terms of getting more conversions? Well, I just think, that it's easy. I think that's a very common myth that, it's all you need is the funnel, and why isn't it working? It's like, well, customer development, conversion optimization, these things are a process for a reason. And if it was incredibly easy, I think everyone would be surfing on Lambos and, sleeping on a bed of money. I think it all takes work. Nothing of, I don't say nothing of value, but you know what I mean. Just solving problems one after the other. Can you think of any tactic that used to work but doesn't anymore, whether because of a change in tech, consumer behavior, or anything else? Well, I mentioned SEO. I think that's something that is upcoming that might get completely turned on its head and just not exist, perhaps in coming years or even months. You never know. Again, I'm not using Google, like a lot less. And if I was Google, I would be like, if I was a manager at Google or VP or whatever, be like, guys, when are we launching our own thing? This is, and then how do they monetize it? I mean, they are late to the game on this one, and they had access to all this data far longer than a company like OpenAI. But I digress. Any tactics that used to work that don't anymore? I just think, that it's competition for traffic from SEO has continued to increase. I think that a lot of stuff just continues to always work. Like, I think pop-ups offering a lead magnet, using the law of visibility, people see it, they see the offer, they're more likely to convert. I think unless you can prove genuine scarcity, I think, the whole webinar thing is a little bit played out. People will still go for it, but you'll make the most sustainable number and volume of sales if as long as you're genuine about it. And that's we'll call it a wrap there. What did you think of this video? Did you find it valuable? Leave a comment below. Let me know. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our email list as well as to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay focused, especially in the age of AI, and keep auto growing. I'll see you soon.